All right, welcome to the Black Tower. I'm the Sorcerer Monasul. Tonight, I would like to introduce to you all a dear friend and sister of mine, Rena V. Uh, how you doing, sister?
I'm very well. Thank you very much for your invitation. Good morning from Athens.
Good
Uh,
evening from here.
I'm so glad that we finally did it, finally make it.
Oh, it's been a long week for me,
To
so
the
I
bit,
kept having to put
yes.
it off, and I'm like, God, shit. Like my nights literally turned into my days, and there for a while we're like, yeah, we can do this at this time, because the difference in our hours. And then all of a sudden, my days took over, and I'm like, holy crap, I'm never getting any sleep. What's going on here? So I appreciate the patience.
Yeah, with the time zone, it's a little bit difficult.
Oh, yeah. But one thing I want to say, I don't know if any of my audience members know this, but there is a website called King Paimon.
Yeah, it's my
Raina
blog
here,
actually.
Raina here runs it and writes for it. This is
Yeah, I'm the one I am the one who runs it.
I tell you what, I've only been following it for about 7 or 8 months. I wish it'd been sooner. Just as soon as I went to reading a few things, I was sitting there. Matter of fact, the night that I had decided I was going to work with King Paimon, and I'm doing an online search because I want to know the ends and I want to know colors. I want to know all the stuff I need to know to connect with this spirit that I've never worked with, never called upon, nothing. And I'm not gonna lie, the second resource that I found was King Paimon blog, and I'm sitting there going, "Holy shit!" And I got on there, and I was like, I literally followed your directions on how to do it, like, and it was so trippy because I sat here and now it didn't dawn on me as a seasoned practitioner. It did not dawn on me. King have an offering or a gift, and so as soon as I called him, and I don't know if you've ever seen that movie 300. You remember Xerxes' tent, how it had all the oddities in it and everything?
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
Man, I thought I was tripping for a little while because my mind, I'm seeing all these people come through, and they all look, exotic and different and all this other stuff. And then comes time that I start seeing his personal entourage, like his serving uh, familiar spirits or whatever. And they're coming through, and they're coming through. And meanwhile, I'm looking for this blue crown that I'm supposed to see. I'm looking for this crown, and I don't see it.
He
And
doesn't always appear with his crown.
yeah, well, at any rate, then all of a sudden, this figure stood in front of me, and he was telling me he was King Paimon, and I'm sitting there going, nah, it don't feel right. I don't think it's right. But it's nice to meet you. And and so I was very polite about this. All of a sudden, I heard a laughter from behind this group of people, and they parted ways. And sitting there on this very, very nice carpet with plush pillows is this figure with the whitest turban I've ever seen in my life and this gigantic sapphire
Oh,
embedded.
he took you actually to his palace.
Well, I have no idea, but it was literally like I went through the front of this humongous. I don't know. I thought it was a tent
Mm-hmm.
because it was so big, and it was like I was walking to the back, but in the vision, they're walking past me, which is really weird. I don't know how to explain that. And so anyway, so I sit there and like all of a sudden I get tongue tied. I'm like, holy shit, I don't know what to say to an actual, a king. And I'm sitting there like, oh man, I'm gonna screw this one up, sure enough, you know. And he gestured for me to sit down. I sat down and I was like, forgive me for having nothing to offer you. I said, all I can offer you is my love and my thanks you know, for your appearance and for, allowing me into your sanctuary. And once again, this laughter. And I'm sitting there like, I don't know if I'm doing something wrong or right. I don't know what's going on. And all of a sudden, he tells me, he says, he just very plain spoken, you have nice manners. And I was sitting there like, well, I'm glad I got something going for me at this point because I had no idea what I'm doing. I'm winging the shit out of this. And so we sit there and I wouldn't ask for a thing. I mean, I wasn't there to ask for nothing. I wanted to get to know King Paimon. And I had worked previously with Belial, with Belial.
Mhm.
And Belial had told me, he's like, he's a little, he's different to work with. If he actually wants to communicate with you, King Paimon will. If he does not, he will not. And
Yeah,
so I,
true.
so I was set mentally, to handle the rejection if it happened. But in the end, what happened is I'm sitting there, you know, and just the experience of sitting there in his presence, I could feel, that kingly authority. And it was really strange that in his presence, I went to understanding my own divinity, my own godhood, if you would, and that authority and rulership like a king would have. And so it was kind of strange that within about 10 minutes of sitting here, just, just communicating back and forth, uh, with, personal talk, I started feeling the sense as if I was sitting there with an actual equal or a really dear friend.
Exactly.
And I went to say my goodbyes, and I was being very respectful because, I'm like, thank you, King Paimon, for, actually hearing my call and for inviting me into your sanctuary. You know, I wish you love and lots of honor and respect, you know, and all this. And I was trying to bow out and back out. And he went to laughing a third time. And I'm sitting there going, man, what am I doing? What is going on? He goes, and he stops me for just a minute. He just holds his hand up. And, uh, and it's not like a command, but it's something you understand what the gesture means. And so I stopped. He said, what do you really want? And I was like, uh, I just wanted to get to know you. He goes, no, what do you truly desire? And I was like, and all of a sudden I could feel him in my head, like he's going through my mind and reading it or something, my intent or desires. And, uh, and I'm just like, well, I'm working on such and such. But I realize that I have absolutely no idea because I'm not around the tribe of people that could teach me this. All I've got is this bastardized, watered down resources to go by, and I know it's not correct. And it was concerning Jin magic. And he said, he said, I will send you a friend. He'll tell you anything you want to know.
Yes, because if in this question you have asked you have replied to him, yes, King Paimon, I won't be famous. I want money. I want I don't know what, um, uh, human things. He doesn't have no interest on this.
That makes a lot of sense.
Uh, um, he loves to teach. He literally loves to teach. So asking by asking him, you know, I want knowledge. I want to know more about magic. I want to know more about how magic works. I want to know more about how universe works. He is more than willing to work with you. But the tricky, not the tricky, but let's say tricky part with Paimon is that he will test you to the bones, literally. He will he will brought you, I don't know which is the expression actually, to your knees. He will test you. Uh, he tested me for 2-3 years. I was trying to do something and he was keep throwing seeds on my way. And back then, I was starting to feel a little bit, starting wondering why he's doing that and why I'm trying to do that something and I'm asking your help. I don't mean, like money or such things. I'm trying to do something and I'm asking your help. Why are you doing that? Why are you keep throwing seeds on my way? And he was, now I realize that he is not this kind of spirit that he will waste his time. He needs to be sure that you worth his time to teach you. From the point that he realized that you worth his time, and most of all, you are very dedicated to him, and you trust him, he will open all the doors for you.
Yeah. I was really amazed after thanking him and taking him at his word, because I didn't see a being step up. I didn't see nothing like that. I just, I was in awe. I was like, wow, thank you. I would appreciate that greatly. Wasn't even 10 minutes after I'd closed down the rite and the calling and, gave an incense offering and all this other stuff, that all of a sudden I felt this presence. And all of a sudden I started hearing him talk to me. He says, you know, uh, King Paimon sent me, said that you were interested in. And I was like, holy crap, that was quick. That was really, really quick. Yes, it was. I spent the next 3 days being educated from the ground up on Jinn magic. And I'm sitting there going, wow, I had it wrong the entire time. The entire time. What little bits of fragments and pieces, some of it fit, but some of it didn't. A good bit of it did not. And so it's a big difference. And so meanwhile, I'm sitting there taking notes after notes after notes, and listening to the spirit. And after 3 days, he told me, he's like, I've given you enough that if this is something that you truly wish to continue with or do, I've gave you enough that you can begin from here. And I was like, well, thank you very much, and, and I gave him an offering for having helped me and all this. And he kept telling me, he's like, I need no offering. He says, I go where King Paimon commands me. And I was like, well, I thank you and I appreciate your help. And then this spirit laughs and he says, he's right. You are very kind. And I was sitting there going, what is up with that? Like they're not used to people being respectful or being polite or kind. It's really strange. Because I would think that you're dealing with something that A, you cannot see, B, can do things that you can't imagine they can do. You go and you offend something like that, how are you going to defend yourself against something you can't see? You know what I'm saying? So, of course, be respectful, you know. And so that was my experience with King Paimon.
I love to hear experience with King Paimon because its experience is different. He has different behaviors, I guess, as its demon out there, its spirit out there. But some things are common. To his interactions with human.
Yeah.
I can say that he doesn't like humans very much. But by that I don't mean that it hates humans.
You just don't find much use for him.
Yeah, he has understand that the majority of humans doesn't care about knowledge or enlightenment or to involve. They will call him to ask him, hey, King Paimon, can you help me with my job? Hey, King Paimon, I want to take this promotion. Hey, King Paimon, I want my ex come back. Can you please influence him? Will you help me to cast a spell? I don't know, to influence this guy, become friends again. He doesn't care about he doesn't care about this. We are talking about a king of kings.
I realize
from the information that from our discussions and for all the information that he has gave me, and we have confirmed with other practitioners with which they work with King Paimon. King Paimon is a son of Lilith and Lucifer. That's why he's so connected with Lucifer. Actually, Lucifer is his father. And that's why he has so many legions. He has, I guess, if I'm correct, he has the more legions than every demon. And that's why he has so many abilities. He has abilities in almost all fields, except from love matters, which hate them. He literally hates them. But in such case, if you work with him and you have, for example, a love issue, Dantalion is one of his dukes. He will send Dantalion to deal with it. He doesn't deal with such things. He's very, very demanding when you work with him. Very, very demanding. I remember myself when he was trying to teach me scrying, because, I was a kind of person that, no, I can't do that. I was full of doubts, full. And I was, no, I can't do that. I can't scrying, I can. And we start working on it. And Waylon, literally, he had me 1-2 hours in the front of the mirror, and I had a terrible migraine, and I was telling him that, okay, I'm very tired. I can't see anything. And he goes, do it again. And I was, I can't. I can't do it. Do it again, and again, and again, and again. And after 2 months, he was keep pushing me, do it again, and again, and again. And after 2 months, I did it.
Oh, yeah.
He's very demanding, and when you promise him something that you will do something for him, and yeah, it's better to do it. He will turn everything upside down till he forces you to do it.
I somehow felt like I was just dipping my toes in the water, working with King Paimon. But I stepped away with a deep love and respect for him. About a week after I did this, I had found somewhere that his main thing is he grants familiars and all forms of knowledge, like you were talking about. And I was sitting there going, "Oh wow, holy crap! Okay, so if I wanted to know this is the one that I would work with, that I would talk to." And so it was really interesting. Uh, Now I don't know if it's totally connected. You were talking about with Lucifer being his father. Uh, about a month and a half after I did this working, I had started getting off into a wanting to work with the different aspects of Lucifer. And one of the books that I got drawn to was The Red King by Mark Allen Smith. And of course, and there's Queen of Hell and everything. And well, when you start that system, the very first thing you're doing is you're working with Hecate. And I was telling you, like, I've got an altar set up to her right behind me right now, as a form of uh, just honor, you know. Uh, but she, and then that Trinity, it's Hecate, it's Lucifer, and it's Belial. So you can see where this whole thing started going. And
We are talking about, I'm sorry for that. We are talking about Mark Allen Smith system, right?
yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
Talk about Queen of Hell, the Red King, and the Scorpion God. Those are
yeah.
the three main books. Uh, but through Queen of Hell, uh, in one of the earliest, in the like within the first 20 pages of the book, going going full circle, you get introduced to Lucifer under a certain title, certain name, and so I had done this evocation during the the full blood moon that we had. I am not gonna lie, I could see where Lucifer could be King Paimon's father. I could see
Right.
that. The authority and the power was just it was astounding. It reminds you of a crown, and I don't know how else to put it. It's just like a crown of authority and just of pure power.
So he actually he took you to his demonic plane.
Yeah, I don't know if that's normal or not. I'm used to them coming and visiting me, because hence the evocation. But instead, I got pulled into this tent that was humongous. It was really cool. I enjoyed it. I thought it was neat. But
Yeah,
I've been,
he's a very interesting demon to work with, but I don't believe that is a demon for beginners.
I'm gonna be honest with you. All I've ever done is work with spirits, uh, angels, demons, deities, gods, goddesses. If it's a spirit, even ancestors, the dead, shades, shadows, all kinds of things, and that's all I've ever worked with is working with spirits, and so it was kind of strange. I've most of the time I have really good rapport with most spirits that I've worked with because I don't bend and bow to them. I will show absolute respect. I'll honor them. I'll even show humility to a degree. You know, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not gonna sit there and be like, "Oh, I'm nothing and you're something." No, but I will show honor and respect because they are a power that I'm not. And so I've I don't really know in the realm of what's normal to expect from an evocation or like you're sitting there asking me, oh, so you got pulled in his realm. I don't know if that's normal to get pulled into his realm versus him coming into my realm. But the way I did it was I looked at him like a king. You go to the king don't come to you, and that's the way I was looking at it the whole time I was doing his end and chanting his name and doing all that was that you go to the king does not come to you. It just doesn't work that way. And
Sometimes the king comes to you.
well,
He has his reasons.
I imagine that if it was something he himself wanted from me or wanted of me or wanted to work with me, very certainly would. I mean, I've seen certain what they call kings, uh, like the infernal kings. You know, I've had one or two of them. Just like step in and just be like, hey, and tell me something that I need to know, or be like, I need you to do this, you know, and stuff like that. But to actually it makes the first time that I got pulled into their realm, because like I said, normally what happens is I create an astral space that is completely neutral,
Mm-hmm.
so that me and the deity can meet. And this keeps them from having to alter and change their energy to come to this plane. Okay, and plus it's a great first time meeting place. So here I go and I create this great big uh, space of astral space, and I'm thinking the desert because the camel is this symbol, and so I'm thinking desert, and then the next thing I know it completely changes. I'm inside the tent and I'm sitting there going, okay, cool,
I know exactly what you mean.
out of the
I
same
know,
symbol. Thank you, I appreciate that.
I know exactly what you mean. Believe
But
me.
but like I was talking about though, with the whole, I feel like I dipped my toes in the sand with that one. I have great I have great respect for King Paimon. I would never just call upon him just to call upon him, anything of that nature. But at the same time, there's a reverence in my heart for him because he's very kind to me, very, very, very kind. You know, gave me a seat of honor in front of him. I mean, that says a lot for that spirit, and to be welcomed like that was really cool. But where I come from with the whole feeling like I dipped my toe in the sand is because uh, on the magical path that I walk as a sorcerer, there is no other god but the self. There are other gods, yes, but the God that you are is the supreme God, and not because you rule over these other gods. It's not like that. But you respect, you respect, and you honor the other gods and goddesses for who and what they are. But you don't necessarily bend and bow to them and stuff like this. And so it's kind of hard to interplay the different types of deities. So like I may work with Hecate, and I may work with Lucifer and Belial, Zephyrins, spirits of the Necronomicon. I may deal with a just wow Arm and Azide Ka. I mean all kinds of spirits. Like there are all kinds of things I work with, different currents and forces. However, at the same time, I always remember one thing when I'm tapping into their current and their force. I must allow whatever transformation to occur, but at the same time, I must always remain true to who I am, even in their realm. And I found that spirits respect that. Have you noticed anything like that?
Um, I wanted to ask you something. Have you ever think that maybe he came to you because he saw something to you?
May have.
He saw potentials to you.
Well, the one thing that I could figure out, like I said, a week later, and I was reading more and more on him, and come to find out that he grants familiars, and he's all about teaching, and I'm like, holy crap, I'm all about learning. So it made perfect sense why like, oh, hey, let's bring this young scholar here, and I'm gonna, let him know who I am, and if he ever wants to learn something or know something, yeah, I'll help this guy because it really felt like he was, like he wouldn't just let me just, do the normal meet and greet, show respect and dip out. No, before I left, he was like, what do you truly desire? What are you truly wanting? And I'm like, this is bad manners. You don't, your first time meeting somebody, you don't ask them for something. You just don't do that, you know. And like I said, he was laughing, and he's like, just tell me what it is that you truly desire. What is it that you truly want?
Which,
Well,
by the way, he knew. He already knew, but he wanted to hear your answer,
yeah, and I
I
have an
guess.
insatiable appetite, hunger, desire for knowledge, just all kinds, any kind, just to grow, to become, to learn how to be more than I am, to be better than I am, so forth and so on. And even when I'm talking to others, or I'm doing, like doing live streams with Thorn on Dark Sorcery, or I'm doing my videos for my channel here at the Black Tower, and I'm interviewing people. I do everything in my power to be respectful, to be honest, and yet at the same time to find some kind of common ground to work with one another. Uh, so no, it doesn't surprise me when spirits like that are like, I like this one, and it's just, I've noticed once or twice since then that if I call on them, and like I'll have my frankincense and myrrh, uh, my frankincense resin and copal and burn for him. Oh man, he's like right there. He's like, how can I help you? And I'm just sitting here blown away. I'm going, ooh, okay, how you doing? And that may seem silly and funny, but with me, it's I'm always amazed, and I'm always in awe when they come. No matter how many times I've called a spirit, it never ceases to amaze me when they actually come. And I think that that's something else that most people who work with spirits don't understand is that awe. That's not necessarily worship, but that is appreciation and gratitude. And I'm telling you, there's not enough to say about that, but that's like handing them a fine wine. That's something that they can eat up. That's something, that's an energy, that's an offering, that they take. Think of your own workings with King Paimon, and think of all the years that you've been doing this, okay? What is the one thing that you, Rena, can give King Paimon that King Paimon absolutely loves, and that's why he keeps working with you?
What is, I'm sorry?
What do you think it is that you give King Paimon that keeps him there working with you and staying right beside you?
I believe that I trust him from our first meetings.
Okay.
I told you that I had the first years was very difficult, but I have no doubts when he told me something. I saw that when he told me, Arena, don't do that. You know, I'm explaining it to very simple human terms.
Yeah.
I realized that when sometimes told me, Rena, don't do that, and I did it, I ended up, hit my face on the wall. So I trust him 100%.
Yeah. Well, say stuff like that is
And
what makes you so
I have not even a single doubt when he will tell me, yes, do that.
Yeah.
Or no matter how hard the situation is or the issue is or what I want to learn, when he will tell me, yes, Rena, do that, you can do that, or don't do it, and but I must do it, I must, take some actions about it. And he says, no, don't do it. I see that after a few weeks, maybe months, he was right. He was right that he told me, don't react, don't reply, don't take action on this. Spirits, demons in general, works in very different ways, think in very different ways. So I think that he has, for a certain situation that happens in my life, he has a plan. So by telling me, don't do that, don't do that, even sometimes trying to protect me, sometimes he has different plans for me. And I have seen this pattern. It's almost 5 years that I'm working with King Paimon almost daily, because actually I'm not the type of person that change demons, working with demons every week. I have seen this pattern. From one path, he creates the circumstances to go to lead me to something else. He was the one who introduced me to Lucifer, which my work with Lucifer is by far the most excellent working that I have done so far. He was the one who introduced me. Actually, I wanted to work with him, but I asked him first. And he was the one who told me, yes, work with Mephistopheles. And I have seen that he's right. Maybe you don't see results. Maybe you have doubts sometimes, because you say, why he's telling me that? The correct thing, for example, you insult me. Let's say you insult me, and I need to take some law actions, for example. I'm giving you a random example, and the right thing is to take law action to sue you. And I'm asking, but he insulted me. He hurt with his words or his action. He hurt my family. He hurt me. I need to take some actions, and he was no. Don't do that. And eventually, I found that he was right, because if I have done that, the coincidence actually the impacts will turn against me. This is a bond that created through years, and I must say that it's 1,000 times that King Paimon, without asking him, step in and cover my back. And that's the reason actually that I create the blog for him. It was my part to thank him for what he has done to me, for all the information that he gave to me, for all the things that he has taught me, for all the guidance actually that he has gave me, and he still gives me. He still gives me.
I love that kind of dedication. That kind. See, that's the type of things that spirits truly love about people in general, and it's one of the things that kind of cements the relationship as to whether they'll work with or so forth and so on, is the amount of dedication. Because, like for example, he could teach you this, that, and the other, but like you said, unless you took action or listened to when he said not to take action, and it's because you didn't just listen to him, but you did what he said, and that creates that. And you may have created that blog as a way of saying thank you to him, but had it not been for your blog, who knows how I'd have gone about trying to connect with King Paimon, and the way I did it, it turned out perfectly, and it was through your blog concerning King Paimon, and because I used that exact method and it worked, and it was perfect. Uh, it's why I spent a year doing videos on the Necronomicon, and as a way of talking about the spirits and stuff of that particular book. And the reason why I did this was a way of saying thank you, because that's they worked with me, and and still do, and so forth and so on. But I also did the same thing for other spirits and things like that, because it's I'm not the kind of guy that's going to have a different spirit every week to talk about and tell them how great it is. But if it's one that I've worked with personally, that I'm like, this is a badass, a true badass, yeah, you know, so forth and so on. Yeah, definitely, I post about that. Uh,
That's why it's so important to create a bond with a demon,
yeah,
and not just to be like, what I need today, money. Okay, let's call this demon, which is about money. Um, you know, you call for the demon. I need this amount of I need this amount of money. Can you help me? It's like, imagine that you're sitting on your house and someone knocking your door, someone totally strange, and he tells you, look, Waylon, I need money. You have two options: to kick him out or to ignore him. I'm sure that they work the same way, as above, so below.
they teach us everything and anything that we need to know to do it for ourselves. They're not, like this one particular deity that I actually discovered, didn't know he was an actual. I thought he was a spirit, but he ended up being an actual deity, and The first time I called this particular deity, the very first words out of his mouth, I am no Jin. You will not call upon me and ask me for something. I will not give it to you. You know,
Huh.
and I was sitting there like, holy crap, okie dokie. You know, it wasn't exactly what I was going for. I was just, wanting to get to know you as a spirit. And he's like, I'm just letting you know straight up. You're not gonna rub a lamp and get me to answer your call. And I was totally cool with that. Now I've called on the spirit many times for different things. And he always
Yes, the fact that we are in this path doesn't mean that all spirits, all deities out there are willing to work with us.
yeah.
I have tried, for example, 2 times to work with Asmodeus. It was impossible. I
I
couldn't. I couldn't handle him, literally. He was, I don't know if you have worked with him, but he was acting like crazy. I was very, very kind, very respectful. I welcomed him. He was, keep running, he was running circles around me. I
Did you
was
say
asking,
Asmodeus?
I'm sorry,
What was the spirit's name? Asmodeus?
I didn't hear you.
Okay, what spirit did you say?
Asmodeus.
Asmodeus?
Yeah.
Oh,
He was acting like crazy. He was uh, keep doing circles around me. I was trying to be polite, like, thank you for coming, thank you for hearing my calling. Uh, Let me introduce myself because it was our first contact.
yeah,
He didn't hear anything. He was keep running around. He was laughing hysterical. Uh,
that sounds about right.
Yeah, and I realized I tried it second time because I think that maybe it's the first time. Maybe it's his reaction. I also tried a few weeks later to call him again. He had the same reaction, and I realized that look, this demon doesn't want to work with me for his reason. I never called him again because yes, they have their preferences.
Uh, I About 18 years ago, I looked up and I was able to actually procure some the Temple of Set. Their high priests and high priestesses. They'll make so many things of oil in their
Mhm.
temple, and they'll consecrate them and everything. And they only sell a very few of them. And I lucked up on some Asmodeus oil. Well, I think I ended up paying somewhere between $60 and $80 for this little old bitty bottle of this stuff, and I'm sitting there going, I'm gonna
Wow.
lose my mind, but I wanted it because I smelt it and I could just feel I could feel what it was trying to do inside. So I go and I get this, and I put a drop of it on the Narika chakra right there at the base of the skull, which is basically it's the back door. The next thing I know, man, he just tries to possess. I mean, just like right out the gate, like my body, and I'm like, no. And it was really weird because it was a combat of wheels. And finally he settles down. He's like, all right. And I let that wear off. It took most of a day to shake that. And for a couple of times afterwards, that's what he was doing is he was testing to see if I could control his essence, his force, because it is so out of control. I mean, it is just it's like raw in your face. You know what I'm saying? Like you were talking about, just running around. Uh, that doesn't always necessarily mean they don't want to work with you, but their introduction is how they decide whether they want to work with you. Because if you learn to, it's not that you're commanding them or telling them what to do, but you have to harness and control their essence and their force. You have to make them stand still and be like, no, no, I'm in control here. I welcome
Yeah,
you.
I totally get your point. Yes, but you know what? I didn't want to
Oh yeah,
force him like Asmodeus. Stop the bullshits, for example, and sit down and talk. I respect, I respect that he didn't want to work with me. It's totally acceptable. Maybe our energies didn't match. Maybe he had his reasons that he doesn't want to work with me. So I left him to go in peace, and I have never bothered him again. He simply doesn't want to work. Maybe a few years later, maybe he comes to me by his own.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not the correct time.
Yeah.
Maybe I wasn't ready to work with him.
I was about to say the same thing. There are spirits that I never thought of one way or another working with way back in the day, and all of a sudden then they start coming to me, and I'm like, okay, and start communicating and talking with them and stuff, and I'm like, wow, holy crap, they do have knowledge to share, wisdom, you know, so forth and so on. So, I get that, and I wasn't trying to come across like the reason why he was running around was because of that. I'm just saying that sometimes that's what it is with these spirits. Uh, but in your case, like with what you're talking about, you're probably dead on with that, and it might be years before, he's like, okay, well, this one's such and such, and he settles down and he's like, he's willing to meet you on the level that you want to be met on.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yes, yes, very probably. It's probably yes, but yes, I left him. In his peace. I didn't force him. I just says, okay, Asmodeus, let it go. It was I couldn't control anything, so I just let him.
I called him by a name one time. He has many different names, but one of his names Ashmedai, and it's I want to say it's Canaanite. I'm not really for certain, but it was one of his earliest forms with wings that you can equate to an angel if you just wanted to, and if you just wanted to. So it's kind of like an angelic form that I've called him through at times, and it's not like an angel of like heaven and stuff like that because depolarized here, yeah, if it has wings, it's an angel. It doesn't mean it's a good angel, evil angel. I don't deal with polarized bullshit descriptions and how you describe a being. A being is a being. Period. In the story. But anyway, I noticed that there was a big difference between invoking him under his name Asmodeus, as opposed to which Asmodeus literally breaks the door. He breaks open the doors. He's got that force. But I call upon him as Ashmedai, and all of a sudden you've got calmer energy. But it's not calm energy. It's just energy sitting there that's building up and just waiting for it to be released, like a coiled spring, you know.
Mm.
Uh, but the only way that I could have any kind of communication with him without him trying to overtake me was in the form of Ashmedai. And then I was able to work with him and be like, look, I respect you, but you are not taking over the meat suit. This is mine. This is my vessel. I'll invite you in. You can walk through it. And I'll do this as an offering, as a gift. But you will not just take it. I refuse to allow that. And from that moment on, I had no problems working with him. Period. End of story.
Oh, we were working. We have from one point when we established a strong relationship with Paimon.
Mm-hmm.
We work very, very often on partial possession. And, I trust him. I don't know, maybe this sounds a little bit crazy, but I trust him so much that now I don't give him his permission. I don't give him my permission. Okay, let's go on partial. I know that he will come to me, he will use me as a vessel when it needed.
Yeah.
He will not do it pointless. Now that we are sitting here and we are talking, suddenly he will take over my body. He will not use this right that I have given to him without reason. He will use it when I need it, when when he needs to protect me, when he needs to give me something, when I need an extra boost. So we go back again to the bond that you have created with the demon. It's very essential, Waylon,
Yeah.
because if you don't have a bond, you can work that way. You can trust any spirit to go to take over you, to use you as a vessel. And I will say it again that because I receive many mails on my blog that how I can summon King Paimon. How you want to go and call forth a king. Start, establish a connection established very slow, even with a simple prayer. He hears. He's hearing you. Start with offerings. Ask him to give you a sign. Eventually, those small things, which to say a prayer takes 2-3 minutes daily, eventually you will create this bond.
Yeah.
And this bond in the future, it will be beneficial for you.
You know, I can,
To Black.
just from sitting here talking to you, you know, I can understand, I understand what you're talking about because there are a few spirits that I've worked with for 20 years. And, you know, that's nothing to them. That's like a day in our life. But at the same time, they recognize, you know, time to a human. And that kind of devotion, you know, you can't say enough about that. You know, I like where you're going with this, you know. So for the audience members out there, you know, King Paimon, he's not going to grant you the sun, the earth, and the moon. He's not going to give you your desires in that sense. But King Paimon will teach you anything you want to know. You want to know, oh, how can I improve this about myself? How can I make wiser decisions so that I can obtain better results in what I'm doing? Things of this nature. But to be able to get to that point, you know, like Raina here is saying, you know, you've got to open the door. You've got to make the initial contact. And you've got to, you know, you've got to do a daily devotion. You know, it's just something as simple as a small candle lit as an offering of just recognizing that King Paimon is real and that King Paimon exists and that you recognize King Paimon. All the way to, you know, setting up on ends and what kind of offerings he likes, you know, things of this nature, if that's something you're into. Uh, you know, but you're absolutely dead on with that. You know, you've got to create that connection. It's like, you know, I've been married 15 years. Me and my wife knew each other a month and a half before we got married. You know, that's no time at all. We have spent 15 years getting to know one another. You know, but that doesn't always happen in like the spirit world and stuff like that. You know, sometimes certain spirits and you will click like that. You know, but most of the time it doesn't work that way. Sometimes it takes years upon years of dedication of just, you know, talking with them. I mean, like I say a lot of the times, a lot of where people fail when they're communicating with spirits is that they forget. Treat them like you would yourself. You like to be treated with respect and kindness. Treat them
Exactly.
with respect and kindness. Be honest. I like to sit there and just have just a regular conversation with most spirits. Just, you know,
And you know, it's not always needed to open a ritual. Personally, I'm not fan of fancy rituals. Actually, this also comes to that I live in a country which I'm surrounded by Christians. So if I open a ritual or something, maybe you will find me burning.
Well,
You
I
know.
hope not, but I get your point.
Yeah. Um, so in this country, because as I said, we are surrounded by Christians, we try to stay under the radars. Um, and and as Rena, I'm not a type of fancy rituals, but I have seen that I'm sitting here. I have his altar there, and I'm writing on my laptop, and I stop, and I'm start talking to him. His reply. Without circles, without invocations, without candles, without incense, without anything.
Yeah, because you created an inner dialogue. You made a
Yeah,
space
we have
inside yourself.
created it. We have he teach me channeling.
Yeah, you created a space inside yourself for him to dwell, for a part of him to dwell. That way you have that inner dialogue going.
Yeah, we have created this channel, and I guess the channel is always open.
Yeah.
So I asked him something, and before I finished my question, I received the answer.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I have a lot of blockages on my magical practice. Um, my and actually the article that I post from the age was totally to the point. I have a lot of blockages on my magical workings. My spell didn't working. Uh, I didn't have a good connection with Paimon. I have create blockages on myself. So we discussed it with King Paimon this, and he said that you I can help you on that. I'm trying to give you the way he thinks, his mentality, his point of view, that I can work, I can help you with that. You must be the one who will break these blockages. Uh, his words was exactly, uh, you are standing, you have a wall in front of you, and you have two choices. You break and you move on, or you are sitting and stare at the wall. It's up to you.
Yeah. A lot of great spirits that I've worked with are a lot like that. They'll tell you what's going on, but they also leave it in your hands to take care of.
Yeah. And uh, I decided that it's time to move on. It's time to break these blockages and move on. And I did it, and literally I saw an amazing difference on my spells, on my communication, um, on the knowledge that I receive, because we talk a lot with King Paimon. He loves to talk, especially about magic and science and those type of things. And that's why I said before that it's not a demon that, in my opinion, not a demon for the beginners, but I want to define beginners. Because a lot of talking has, there's a lot of talking about beginners. I believe that in this path, we are all beginners. Even if you are 30 years on this path, even someone else is 2 years on this path, if someone else is 20 years in this path, we are all beginners, because every day we receive something new. We receive new information, new techniques, new spells, new way of communications. So we are all beginners there. Of course, some people have much knowledge than me, than you, than someone else, because they have read some, maybe few books more than me or you or someone else, but actually the books are helpful.
Give me 1 second, sister. All right, sorry
Okay.
about that. But yeah, we're talking
It's
about.
okay. It's okay. We have our issues here. I have issues with my chair. So yes, this is what Paimon actually told me, that stop reading books, because each books, not stop reading books with the general, but each book contains personal experience. If tomorrow I start writing a book about King Paimon, I will take my books, my notes, and I will write my experience with King Paimon, which may be by far different from yours.
Yeah.
So this doesn't mean that everything works for everyone. As we have straight connection with the demonic, why we don't receive those information straight from the demonic?
I think it depends on our honesty with ourselves. A lot. I think at the base of it, I think that we have to. It's kind of like when you're doing research on a spirit or something like that. It's okay to know all that stuff, but if you truly want to get to know the spirit, about the only thing you need to know is its name, and then your intent has to be to reach that spirit. And then you have to, you have to kind of, you have to be sensitive to energies, and you have to be a little bit knowledgeable, experienced. I mean, in working with spirits, so that you know that you've got the right one or not. Hence the use of sigils and things, and even ends for that matter. But then you can read what somebody else has said about a spirit, but you need to find out for yourself about that spirit.
But you must do the work.
Yeah, and
The spirits are not babysitters. Will not take you from the hand and will tell you, yes, read this, do that. I think many people has this point of view that demons are babysitters. I'm reading that in many groups, do you have protection? No, protection. No, Satan protect me. Satan is not a babysitter. King Paimon is not a babysitter. He will step in when when he decided that it needed, but it's not my babysitter. He will let me crash my face. He will let me uh, doing bullshits, because it's all part of the learning.
yeah. I've noticed that exact same thing. Like when it comes to my wards and my protections, if every couple of days or so I don't strengthen them on my own, they weaken. I can call a spirit to a quarter. Do I really honestly think that spirit's going to stand there from here till eternity in that quarter? No. No, it's got other things to do besides do that. So I agree with that. Uh, but this comes part and parcel with the whole thing that we need to evolve past our thoughts or ideas of what spirits are or what they're for. They're there to aid us, not there to be the end all be all. They're not Jesus Christ to the religious, and they're not at the same time they're not Mahatma Gandhi being the symbol of what you're supposed to do. They're just the guides and the teachers, and you know you've got to go home and do the homework. You've got to go home and do the work.
Of
You've got to
course.
do this. So, I think that once we get to that point in our evolution and our personal evolution, I think we'll start to understand about the demonic and how that actually works, just like we do any other system. But sister, we're getting really close to that time. For all my viewers out there, this is Rena. She runs KingPaimon.com. I will put that down below for any of you not had the opportunity or the pleasure of reading it.
Thank you very, very much.
Go check it out, sign up, and keep up with it, And
Trying. I'm planning a part 2 from an interview. Yes, because a lot of questions pop up. And I'm working on it.
Yeah.
So, yes.
I'm waiting on a King Paimon 2.0 from you. King Paimon to the next level.
Yeah, I believe that we will have it soon.
Well, I mean, I noticed that that after a while, it's not really necessarily burnout, but I know for a matter of fact from personal experience that you can work with a current or a force so long, and then all of a sudden you get to where you feel like like there's a block there, like you're like, I need to push past this. There's something holding me back from doing more with it. I've had that in my own personal stuff. So like I said, I'm waiting on a King Paimon 2.0 from you because I know just takes time, but it'll happen. Uh,
No,
but
he didn't appear somewhere around,
but I wanted to say thank you very much, Raina, for being here tonight.
Thank you very much for your invitation. It's always good to talk to you.
It was
I
awesome.
really enjoy that.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And
Go ahead.
tell me, go ahead.
Okay. But to all my viewers out there, like I said, go check it out, see for yourself, read for yourself, see if it works for you. Uh, you know, those of us that are in the occult community, the things that we do, it always starts off to better ourselves, and then eventually it expands upon us to share with others so that maybe we can help them. And Elena's done nothing different than do the exact same thing. And so for that, we're very appreciative of you.
Thank you very much once again.
And to each and every single one of you out there, thank you for tuning in and watching this. Peace, blessings, and power. Till next time.